This is CES MMA.
Welcome back, fight fans. We're live from Twin River Casino, CES MMA 20. Scott, last time you and I were in the broadcast booth, we saw a rematch with Josh Diekman. Now tonight it's going to be Greg REBELLO and John Doyle, who you're looking at right now, rematching, fighting for the first time in almost 2 years. John Doyle coming out of Newark, New Jersey, 10-20 with 2 knockouts. But as we know in mixed martial arts, you can't let the record fool you. He has a ton of experience fighting for M1, fighting for Bellator.
That's 30 professional fights. Now, these two guys fought at Bellator a while back.
That's right.
And, you know, they know each other fairly well. Let's see what improvements have been made. And this is at the new cruiserweight division CES is established. And I have to be honest with you, I love the idea of that weight. Sometimes you go light heavyweight 206 to heavyweight 260. There's a huge, huge hole there. 206 to 225 cruiserweight, great idea. Well done by Mr. Birchfield and Pat Sullivan.
Now, as you mentioned, John Doyle and Greg REBELLO fought in 2010. REBELLO beat him by unanimous decision, so Doyle gave him rounds and went the distance with him. And at that time, Scott, REBELLO was really at his peak. That was his 9th consecutive win, I believe, or his 10th consecutive win. Now you see Greg REBELLO making his way to the cage. And interestingly enough, Greg REBELLO had retired after his last fight, or so we thought, when he lost to Louis Rumsey in June. He announced his retirement in front of a sold-out crowd right here at Twin River. And here he is,
he dropped that bomb on us, and I was out interviewing him after the fight, and I was just as surprised as everybody else. Didn't expect that to happen. But as you heard Greg said, he took a deep breath, sat back, and said, I don't want to finish that way. Maybe I'm not done at all. So, again, the life of a fighter is very interesting, the mental aspects of it. So it'll be interesting to see how Greg does tonight. I'm sure he wants it very much. I'm sure he's going to come out and try to put a big Greg REBELLO stamp on this fight.
You know, one of the things that REBELLO referenced in his quote-unquote retirement speech was that this was now a young man's game.
Right.
And that he had maybe lost some steam. Before he had retired, he had gone 3-3 in his last 6 bouts. This is a fighter who had at one point won 11 consecutive bouts. But the competition level certainly rose. He fought Dan Kramer. He fought some real tough fighters at Bellator. To no discredit whatsoever. Dropped a few here and there. Had won his last 2 before losing to Rumsey in June, and what he said was the worst fight of his career. So we'll see what he has left in the tank coming back tonight against John Doyle. It's a rematch. The good thing is he knows Doyle, and of course Doyle knows him. Well,
you know, when you have Greg didn't look like he had a bad night physically. More than anything else, people have to realize this fight game is incredibly mental. If your head is not screwed on straight, nothing good's going to come from it. You need to be in a good place. And it looks like Greg went back, took a deep breath, talked to his family, talked to his coaches, and put his head on where it needs to be.
All right, let's take a look at the Souza Tequila tail of the tape. Greg REBELLO, 16-5, 31 years of age. Both fighters actually 6 feet tall on the dot, so no height disadvantage or advantage. John Doyle, of course, 11-20 with those 2 knockouts. He is 37 years old. Let's send it down to Rick Provost for the official introduction.
This fight is scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds in the heavyweight division. Our man in charge at the bell is Kevin McDonald. We begin with the blue corner. Weighing in at 238 pounds, a veteran of 31 fights with 2 wins coming by way of knockout and 5 by submission out of Newark, New Jersey, representing Gold Fight Team. Please welcome John, the Iron Bull Doyle. And fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 223 pounds, with a professional record of 16 wins and 5 losses, with 8 of those wins coming by way of knockout and 1 submission. Out of Providence, Rhode Island, representing Triforce MMA in Sityodtong, please welcome Greg "Ribs" REBELLO. 3 rounds, heavyweights.
Quite a fan base for Greg REBELLO here tonight at Twin River. Always a popular fighter in Rhode Island. He comes from Providence. always packs the house and brings a ton of people here. So it'll be interesting to see if he can feed off of this. Round number 1 underway. Doyle in the camouflage, Rebello in the, I guess you want to call it the black and gold skirt, kind of Peter Manfredo style.
Yeah, he's got the boxing / tie shorts on tonight. Greg's a southpaw, so look for him to keep his lead foot outside his opponents and watch for the bull to try to throw that straight right hand against the southpaw. Doyle's actually moving to his right, slipped underneath that big left hand by Rebello and has a dominant side position at the moment, looking to take Greg's back. Greg turns to his back, and Doyle now in guard.
Interesting start. Rebello, kind of a tough break for him. He missed that punch. It seemed like he lost his balance for a second, and Doyle swooped in and took advantage. And now he finds himself here again trying to defend. Doyle trying to gain mount.
Doyle did a great job of slipping underneath that left hand that Rebello threw. You're talking about two big boys.
That goes without saying. We are in the heavyweight division, of course, here at CES MMA 20. And in fairness, Rebello, when he lost that fight to Rumsey, it was a split decision. It was a very close fight. He downplayed his own performance, as any fighter would be his biggest critic.
Yeah, it happens like that. If you're not happy with maybe the way you walked into the way it ended, again, you know, for whatever reason, Greg felt like he needed to take a break to the point of announcing a retirement. I'm glad to see him back.
As we all are, and of course, at the time, he may have felt he needed a permanent break from the sport, but here he is right back at it only a few months later, trying to close out 2013 on a positive note.
Well, Rebello's doing a good job trying to isolate Doyle's left arm for the Kimura. He's trying to work one side or the other. You can see where he's in an open guard as opposed to closed guard that we were watching earlier. So this is where Greg can attack. He can get on a hip. And you're going to see Doyle now. Doyle's going to try to do the best he can to secure a more dominant position. Right now, Doyle's in Rebello's guard. It's an open guard. It's a passable guard, meaning attempting a pass, not that it would be easy to do.
2.5 to go in round number 1. Greg Rebello, John Doyle in the heavyweight division. Here Kevin McDonald saying, let's go, boys. Let's see something. He may stand him up at some point, Scott.
Doyle just did that and stepped over to half guard, so you'll see Kevin McDonald take a deep breath now and give the guys a little time to work. Doyle improved his position. Rebello doing a good job staying on that left hip, trying to control a little head and wrist control, find his openings, find some room to create a little space. You also see Doyle putting his head under Rebello's head, trying to flatten Rebello out.
And now he's going to stand him up with 1:51 to go in round 1.
As an interesting stand-up, Kevin McDonald, the referee, must have thought no one was working hard enough. Oh, that rear leg by Rebello. Doyle was taunting Rebello. Rebello said, all right, you want to keep your head stuck out like there, I'll kick it.
Rebello caught him. Doyle ate it and still caught his leg at the same time and got the takedown, so a great recovery actually from John Doyle. That looked like it might be all she wrote. We saw that happen against Cody Lightfoot when he fought Rebello here and ended up being a bloody mess on the canvas.
Oh, Greg, that was an arterial bleed on Cody's part.
But Doyle ate it, caught it, and got the takedown, so a nice turnaround for him with just about a minute to go in this opening round. You don't want to mess with a Muay Thai, Muay Lao fighter like Greg Rebello and taunt him like that because his feet are so fast.
You know what? I wouldn't advise it. Greg's trying to get a butterfly in here and try to elevate and get Doyle's base off. But obviously, Doyle thought he was okay with it, and he ate the head kick and dropped him right here, and he's been in a controlling half-guard position ever since.
I guess you could call it another tough break for Rebello. He does everything right there and still winds up on his back here. 34 seconds to go.
Again, this is a 30-fight professional veteran. I would imagine he's been kicked in the neck and head more than once. And if you actually see Doyle when he stands up, I'm not quite sure if what he has would classify as a neck as we know it.
That's a subtle way of putting it.
Yeah, he's very thick. He's in good shape, big shoulders, good traps. A lot of people don't realize it. You know, if you keep your traps in good shape, that's what. Nice sweep by Rebello there to reverse. And he finishes the
good finish
the
for
round
Rebello. Just ran out of time, Scott.
Yeah.
He actually had an opportunity to land some lefts and rights, but time not his ally in round one. So the bell does ring, and both fighters head back to their corners. Interesting first round. Rebello looked like he executed well early. Take a look at the Badass Incorporated replay, Scott.
You can see Doyle just funning a little bit and eating a shin for his trouble.
Yeah, it appeared to be more shin than foot.
But that's
Maybe
perfect. That's what we want.
Right.
You know, you want to kick with the shin. The shin's as thick as a wiffle ball bat and then some. Your foot has a bunch of tiny little bones in it.
Lining up that right hand. Yeah, he's tired. Yeah, gotta get on him. I'm good. Body shot, baby. Come on. He's gonna take punches or try to go for the body, go for the legs.
Greg, he's tired, man.
And watch out. I'm not. He is. He's going for that big one punch.
Let's go.
You see John Johnson and Dave Keefe in Rebello's corner telling him, listen, this guy's tired. He's going for that knockout blow. Be wary of it, but be able to use it to your advantage.
He kind of got some. Yeah, I'm going to hold off.
Maybe some mixed advice?
Yeah, it sounded it. You know, it sounded like Dave wanted him to go to the body, which I think was a great idea because he was so wide open in his stance. And he got then some other. Oh, look at the boys talking to each other. Come on.
A little friendly exchange to start round number two. Maybe not so
Well,
friendly.
I got to be honest with you. When a guy clowns like that, a la Anderson Silva, you saw what happened.
That's right.
That can be something that just motivated Greg to say, all right, you want to play like this? Now there's Rebello with his hands flying, something we would love to see more often from him. Doyle's doing a good job of eating those punches, but his hands are low. Now because Greg scored with some good combinations, his feints will start to work.
There it is. Right on cue. Feints with the right, comes in with the left cross.
Nice job by Rebello pushing off, creating space. His hands are landing. Keep working it. Nice straight left hand, and Greg doubled it up well.
Greg's landing, and Doyle is really holding his own, standing up to it thus far, but nice job by Rebello. He is
They're talking to each other. He's telling him, come on. Doyle's egging him on, but he's not doing anything to counter. He's not even trying to slip and return here, but he is egging him on.
Sure, it's one thing to show off your chin, but at the end of the day, if you're not attacking, it doesn't do you much good.
Doyle runs in for that single and gets it.
And right on cue, as we say, he does shoot in for that takedown, single leg takedown, lands it.
Greg is doing a good job of edging himself to the cage to maybe walk the cage up. He'll stuff Doyle's head down and try to walk up the cage. What Doyle needs to do is get his hands behind. Greg's got to watch those 12-6 elbows. Of course, I'm not saying he just threw them, but it was close. So Doyle should try to grab Rebello's waist in his hips and pull his hips flat to the cage again, flat to the floor.
It seems as though Doyle's game plan's obvious to try to take this to the ground, if anything. It doesn't appear that he wants to exchange, even though he's egging him on.
I think he might have wanted to in the first round, but Greg really let him taste some leather in this round, so I would imagine he's having second thoughts.
3 minutes to go in round number two. Rebello gets back to his feet.
Greg's excellent in the clinch, and you can see Doyle knows what he's doing too. He's got an underhook. He's trying to keep his head underneath Greg's. Greg did a great job of the reversing. And now Doyle, for whatever reason, tends to drop down the cage into a butterfly. Rebello almost to mount, and he's got half guard now trying to throw. You'll see some short elbows coming from Greg. There they are.
It's an interesting strategy from Doyle. Not really sure the call on that one.
If he didn't sit down, then he tripped it. Or it was something we missed. Maybe Greg pulled the leg out. I didn't see it.
It looked like he just slowly lowered himself to the canvas voluntarily, and now Rebello taking advantage, digging in those right hands. Try to soften that guard.
There's your elbows from Rebello. Couple of short punches.
Scott, it could end right here if he doesn't fight back.
It might. Kevin McDonald knows both these guys are veterans. Both these guys got a lot of fights. You can see Doyle's got a knee inside Rebello. He needs to defend. We're going to get a different angle here. He needs to defend these punches. Now he's just covering up. Now it looks like it might just end. Doyle's creating a little space. Greg's going to hammer fist, but I don't think McDonald's going to let it go much further. There we go.
Greg Rebello triumphant in his return to the cage, dropping the hammer fist, the big right hands. John Doyle not defending, well, more or less defending, but not answering, and that was really the difference. Kevin McDonald stops it. Rebello fired up, punching the corner pad. Big win upon his return to mixed martial arts. We thought it was done in June. He comes back for one more, or maybe more than that, and wins this one in spectacular fashion in round number two. So Greg REBELLO victorious, now improving to 17-5. And for John Doyle, he drops to 10-21. And Scott, it really all started with Doyle just lowering himself to the canvas after REBELLO reversed.
I'd go back. We're going to see the replay here. This is the ground and pound, and Greg landing those short, the short elbows and good, strong, postured right hands. I actually think it goes back to the fact that Greg let his hands go. He really let his hands go early. He was tagging him. He was throwing 4 or 5 punch combinations, landing 2 or 3 of those, and that's when Doyle didn't want to stand up anymore. And that led to the fact that I think Doyle shot a takedown, and when he couldn't keep Greg there, just kind of maybe gassed out a little bit, and you can't. Greg will always be in great shape.
Well, and perhaps that fatigue that his corner spoke about between rounds was a factor too, but nonetheless, it is a big win for Greg REBELLO. Let's send it down to our cage side announcer, Rick Provost, for the particulars.
At 3 minutes and 10 seconds of the second round, referee Kevin McDonald stops the bout, and your winner by technical knockout, Greg "Ribs" REBELLO.